the wire connecting music lovers around the world. You're listening to Aux. Giving you a dose of R&B with the click of the play button. I'm your host, Delux Dave. Just connecting your cord to Aux. Welcome all of my music lovers out there. It is me, your boy Delux Dave, here with a brand new episode of Aux. If you are finding Aux for the first time here on the CWF network, you are tuned into an R&B podcast about music from the past to the present. We talk about it, we discuss it, we break it down, and then you give me your response on what you thought about the music that I talked about from the previous week. If you are looking for a show that is highly opinionated, along with giving you lots and lots of information that you wanted to know about some music, you are in the right place. This is Aux. You can only hear shows like this right here on the CWF network, where we give you big content in small pieces. Well, it's a brand new day. We have a new administration within the White House. Finally, after so much long, drawn out, the process, telling you guys to go out and vote, it has paid off. There is like a reset that is happening right now, and I'm just enjoying it. Like I feel great. I know, some other people in America are going through it. They really were holding on to hope that something was going to happen, but he is in the White House now. We have to respect that, and this is the America that we need to see. It's changing for the better. And I really believe we needed to show some compassion. We needed real leadership. And as I sit here thinking about everything that has transpired over all this time, I am just grateful that we as a country can always show the light, the best parts of us, even in the middle of crazy stuff going on. We can always bring the best out, and that is what this country was built on, and that we must carry on, and we must make it better. We must make it better. There's always room for growth, and that's all I'm saying. Today, I am going to bring it back a little bit. Now, next week, I'm going to be doing a special episode for my 1 year anniversary. Yes, it's been 1 year that I have been doing this show Aux here on the CWF network, and I'm really excited about next week's episode because I can celebrate and just talk to you a little bit about this journey for me. But this week, I wanted to do something before I close out a year of this. I wanted to go back in time because I worked on a sample episode for the creator of this network, Mush King, and I put together an episode for him about one of my favorite artists. It was kind of letting him hear how I talked, how I sounded. He was going to give me some critiques on how I can make it better. And of course, that episode was really rough because, I was just beginning and I was starting out, and, it probably didn't flow as well. But now that I dip my feet a little bit into this, and I've gotten better at what I do, and I can really flow a lot better than what I used to do. Because if you go back and listen to some old episodes, which I encourage you to do, you can hear the changes time after time after time. And I get more comfortable with just talking in general, because it's really hard to sit here and just talk with myself. But I've gotten used to it, and I really like it. It's really kind of therapeutic for me, so I enjoy it. But this episode was about an artist named Frank Ocean. And it was called The Fantastical World of Frank. I remember the name of it, but it was never aired because it was just like a sample episode, but it is there at the very beginning. So today, I wanted to spit to you a little bit more of that episode, or a little bit more in depth of what I was going to actually talk about, because Frank Ocean is one of my favorite artists, and I thought it was only right that I give him the artist highlight that he deserves. So today I'm breaking down everything Frank, and the reason I wanted to do this was because I was scrolling through my Instagram, as I usually do, and I came to his page, and it looks like Frank has cleared out his entire Instagram page. Now, Frank has always been an artist of mystery. You can never really figure out what Frank's next move is. So some people speculated that maybe he cleared it out because he's working on a brand new project and it's getting ready to come out. Some people speculated that because of the death of his brother, rest in peace to his brother that passed away last year, that maybe he cleared it out because he's just done with music altogether. So there's always all of these things that people are speculating about him, but that's what makes him so special. And you know, sometimes it is a little bit irritating because you can never really figure out what Frank's next move is going to be, and he just kind of pops up out of nowhere. So some people are hoping that maybe this is an era for new music, which I do hope also that maybe he is coming out with something, but I can totally understand if, you know, it's very overwhelming for him at this time to just get in the studio and do that. But we'll see what happens. But today I was going to talk about him because Frank helped me at a very, very crucial time in my life. When I first listened to Frank Ocean, it was a song called Thinking About You. I believe it came on the radio when I heard it, but I was listening to the song and I fell in love with it. And I was like, who is this guy? That was actually the first single before the whole album even came out. And this was even before we really knew a lot about Frank, before he even came out and said he was bisexual, and all of the different things that people said was like, oh, this is a publicity stunt that he's saying he's bisexual just to attract attention or do whatever, you know. That was like the in thing to do. I think Nicki Minaj at the time had said she was bisexual. So everybody was really coming out and saying this was and this is what they were. And it was drawing attention. So I don't know about any publicity stunt, but I know that even before he said that, I was attracted to his music. So I began to listen to some of his old music. So if you go back, he had a whole mixtape called the Lonnie Burrell Collection, and he had an album that was called Nostalgia Ultra. And I enjoyed that also. It was just so different to me as I listened to a lot of his music. It wasn't just your regular R&B. A lot of people try to place him in that R&B category, but you know, as I say, anybody that can step outside of the box or be very fluid with the type of music that they create, I'm always attracted to that because you don't want to get boxed into just one type of thing. Yes, some people are better at certain genres than others, but when you can actually sit in here and give me a plethora of different styles, I really look at you as a true musician, a true artist. So I started to listen to some other things, and then Channel Orange came out, and of course, it is still my favorite album to date. Yes, I love Blonde, but Channel Orange was the first album that I really said, oh wow, he's a force. He is something that is going to be around for a long time, like one of those legends. And as I was listening to a lot of the songs like Pyramids, I would sit there literally at night with my headphones in. It was the type of album where I wanted to like put my headphones on and really take in everything that the music was given, because it's so many different compartments to all of his music. And Pyramid was just one of those songs that it was so long. I think it was like 8 minutes or something like that. And it has all these different transitions throughout it. And Frank was one of the first artists that I found does that often with his music. He'll be in a whole flow and then it breaks away to something totally different. Those transitions are epic. He uses that quite frequently now in a lot of his music. And I think that's become a staple for him because he had that within Blonde also. And as I was listening to Pyramids, I would sit there basically almost in a trance, because it's like it puts you into this headspace where you're just like in another world. And I've always appreciated that about his music. I'm hearing a story. I'm hearing him talk about his life. I'm hearing him talk about love. And I basically fell in love with the artist Frank Ocean. And as I listened to his music, he was getting so much backlash at the time when Channel Orange came out. You know, there were people that were so upset about, a black man saying that he was bisexual and all of these different things that were going on. And people were just really, the industry wasn't ready for him when he really started doing this. And he was one of the first. Maybe there were others that did that, but it was always just like hints. He was just like straight up, I'm gonna say this is what it is. He didn't have to do that. I don't think as artists, you're required to do that, but he did. So regardless of if it was a stunt or if it was something else, I really feel like he just did not want to be boxed in. So you just go ahead and say what you're feeling, what you are. And I think that helped him to be more of a open art. Now, not open as far as like letting us know all his business, but just open with keeping nothing, hidden from, what he was sexually. And I think that some people need to do that. Some people don't. And that was the incredible thing about him. Now, he did run into some crazy stuff going on because the record label, of course, as usual, wants to always, I would say, once they see that you're a hit, they want you to continue to create content. So Frank waited a little while, and I think he had one more record when he signed his contract that was due to the label. So he put together, I remember this specifically because I was very hype about it, and I still like the crap album that he put together. I think it was like a thrown together type thing where he was like, I'm just going to give y'all scraps, let y'all have that, and then come out with my album right after that, my real album. It was called Endless. Now, I did enjoy Endless, but it did sound like a studio experiment. Even the video where he's working on, like, I have the DVD where he is like basically in a factory, like working on a staircase and like constructing stuff as the music from this album is playing. It was what was required by the label for him to come out with. And I remember Apple Music releasing it exclusively. And then they had the album came out and it was just like, there was really no real flow to it. It didn't really have a story. So I think he really finessed the label and that pissed them off. But he was able to come out with that album Endless and then come out with Blind, the real album, in 2016. Now, when Blind came out, I had already bought my tickets to see him live in New York, which I did have the privilege before quarantining and all of this pandemic hit. Yes, there was a time when you could go to these large concerts out in the grass, sitting outside with a whole bunch of people, surrounded by people, like shoulder to shoulder, like very, very crowded. And there was a time like that. Like, I sound like I'm like an old man. Like, there was a time like that, children, when we could go but yeah, no mask, no nothing. But we were all just out there in New York at the Panorama Festival watching. Frank Ocean was there. Solange performed there. Tyler, the Creator, was there. It was an amazing time. Like, I probably will never do a concert like that again because I didn't like the feeling of having to stand up all day or just be in a crowd of people forcing your way, trying to get to the front to be very close to the artist. But it was a cool experience. Let me just put it that way. And seeing Frank there really put the icing on the cake. And it made me love him as an artist even more because he sang live, no track, just he was there for his fans. And I really did appreciate that about him. But I did realize he also has a very cult following, which I never really realized that before until after coming out of there, because I got to see the mixture of people that come to see a Frank Ocean concert. It wasn't just me. It wasn't just black folk. It was all types of people that love Frank. And even more, I would say, white people love him more than, I guess, black people at times. He is an acquired taste. Let me just put it that way. Frank Ocean is an acquired taste. But I still love the mystery that he gives every time he comes onto the scene or comes out with music or gives an interview, which is very, 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 very rarely. He always knows how to do it. And that's why I think I was so attracted to him, because I think at the time that I was in my life when I started to like him, I was almost in that place too. Like, why should we have to be confined or told what we should do or be? Why shouldn't we have the freedom to express ourselves the way that we want to without running into flack or be that mysterious person if we want to be. You know, not everything is required to be blasted on the front line. So there is an art to living a private life. And I notice artists that do that, even though it is annoying, I do respect them for the private life that they're able to lead. And that's one thing that I will say about Frank, is because it keeps you in anticipation or wondering what they're going to do next. And I love how that became kind of Beyonce's mode. She comes out with her stuff, places it all at our feet, and then she goes back into seclusion. And even though that may, they're like, oh, well, the artist is not connecting with us. That could just be the way that they function, and that they're able to kind of keep a sane mind instead of falling into the trap of, just give everything to you. You become, I am yours. I think that can become draining. So I do appreciate artists like Frank that do that, but he will always, for me, be a staple for me, because I believe that he is a musical genius, and that the styles of music that he has introduced to the world, it has changed the sound of music. Because after he came out, music began to transform. Even R&B music, it began to transform into a different type of form. Some people don't like Frank Ocean's form because sometimes there's not a bridge in the music. Sometimes it just goes to transitions the whole time. But I can appreciate it because he is trying to break the norm of what people feel like a song has to be set up that way. But I feel like when you're able to express yourself the way that you want to, I believe that shows the true form of, I'm going to be free. I'm going to be what I want to be, regardless of how systematic the world wants to be. I can do my thing also. So I appreciate that about Frank so much. He has so much creative freedom now that he has released himself from the label. And I wanted to highlight him today because to me, he is one of those treasures that, sometimes we don't realize till after that treasure is no longer with us. But I like to point it out when I see it. If I see the gifting, if I see it's there, I got to give it to him. So even if Frank just came out with 2 full albums, I truly believe that people are going to always recognize and put him in those books of one of those really unique, standout artists of a generation. And I truly do believe that. What do you all think about Frank? Do you think that Frank is an artist that really stands out to you, or that his music has connected with you? I would really love to know what your thoughts are on him as an artist. Call or text the CWF Network hotline at 347-719-3350. I would love to include your response in the next episode of Aux. You can also follow the CWF Network on Instagram at CWFP_, and follow me, Delux Dave, DELUXEDAVE. Thank you so much for joining me this week for Aux. Remember, there's so much good music out there. The key is to know which song matches the moment. So if I gave you the aux chord, would you know what to do with it? Till next time, I'll see you next week on my 1-year anniversary episode of Aux.
This is the CWF Network, where we bring you big content in small pieces. Follow us on Instagram at CWFP_.